Welcome to Thinner Peace in Menopause and Beyond. This is Dr. Deb Butler, Master Life and Weight Coach, and as always, your coach. Today is episode number 153. I want to talk to you about sabotage. What do you really think it is? I've been thinking a lot about this. Stay tuned. Hi, everybody. How are you today? I know I ask you that every single time I do this, and I know you can't answer me. But how are you today? Ask yourself that. How are you today? What if you were talking to yourself and you said to yourself, sweetheart, how are you today? And you gave yourself an answer, a real answer. And maybe even a better question for me to ask you, and maybe for you to ask yourself is, how are you feeling today? And really take a moment, go into your body and feel it. What are you feeling today? How do you feel today? Give yourself an answer and then decide what you want to do with that feeling. Do you want to keep it or do you want to change it? And here's the thing about all feelings. All feelings can be changed by how we think. Sometimes we like the thoughts that we choose for the feelings that we have. And sometimes we don't like the thoughts that we're choosing for the feelings that we have. So really in this moment, when I ask you, how are you today? How are you feeling today? Find out from inside of you and decide if that's the feeling that you want to keep or if you want to change what you think to create a different feeling for the day. And of course, one of my favorite feelings, if I had to choose just one, would probably be joy. I love the feeling of joy. And the reason that I like it so much is because how it feels in my body and how I act when I feel joyful. And I've done a lot of this with my clients, the whole idea of joy, where it comes from. And most of the time when I do a worksheet with my clients on the joy worksheet, which of course is in my companion workbook that you too can do yourself if you would like. And if you want to get my companion workbook, all you have to do is go to drdebbutler.com/change. And you can get my companion book that goes with my podcasts that I give all of my clients. You can go to the joy worksheet and answer the questions. But here's what I want to tell you about that worksheet. I'm going to give you a hint. Most of the times when you fill it out, all you can think about are the things that you do or what is in your life, the things that bring you joy. And really, the reason my favorite feeling is joy because I love the way that it feels, but it doesn't come from things. It comes from my mind. So I get to choose if I want to feel joy or not by anything in my life. So I can be looking outside right now and it's winter and it's not sunny and there's no leaves on the trees. And one of the things that my mind can do is go, oh no, it's still winter. Oh, it's so ugly. I wish the sun would come out. Believe me, my mind goes there for a minute. But then I decide that that is not the way that I want to feel. So instead, I look at it and then I think of the beauty that I see. I'm not forcing this because there is beauty in winter just as well when you think of it that way. And all of a sudden I think, and all of a sudden I think as I look, there's buds on the trees because it's March and you can start seeing them. But I start seeing nature. I see some deer in my backyard walking right now. It's amazing. And all of a sudden I just think of the universe and I think of nature. And I think of how little control I really have about so many things because spring is going to come. I'm not going to have anything to do with it. What I see in front of me is just the way that it is. And it is beautiful. And I feel so fortunate that I have eyes that can see it. And that as soon as I start thinking all of this, the whole vibration in my body changes and joy appears. And it feels so good. So, hey. I started this out with how are you feeling? And then my next question is, well, how do you want to feel? Work that out for yourself today and see if you can create the feeling of joy for yourself today. See if it doesn't change your day a little bit. But here's what I really want to talk to you about today as I ask you how you are. I really want to talk to you about sabotage, which is not joyful. But here's the thing. I would say 99% of everybody I talk to, either who are talking to me through mini sessions or are my clients, one of the things they tell me, one of their biggest complaints about themselves, and believe me, there are a few, but one of the biggest ones is the question that they ask themselves and are asking me, why do I sabotage myself? And here's the thing, I've really been thinking about it because I would say what they mean by sabotaging is once they're doing well, they're starting to follow a protocol, they're starting to feel better, they're starting to lose weight. Why is it they're asking me that they would sabotage, they would do something against themselves when all these good things are happening? Now, here's my answer to this, and it's going to be a little bit different, but it's going to give you something to think about too. What if you weren't sabotaging yourself? What if in your little primitive brain, you were rewarding yourself? Think about this for a minute. In the end, we always say, oh my God, I just ate a bag of potato chips after I was doing so well. Why did I do that? And then you go and you beat yourself up, you make yourself feel terrible, and try to get yourself with the program. Get yourself back when you were already there. But here, think about this. When you're in the midst of aligning with your most true self, you're feeling your body, you're taking care of your body, you're connecting to your body. Why would you want to leave it? The only reason is if in your brain you thought it was difficult, or you thought it was hard, or you thought it was torture, and you wanted to do something that was easier or felt better. Right? Because look at all the hard work you've been doing. You're losing weight, all of the stuff that's happening. But I think in your mind, and you really have to look into your mind, what are you believing about this process that you're doing? Do you believe that it's going to take you to where you want to go and that it's going to be the last time that you ever do this and you're going to be able to feel your feelings all the time? Or are you thinking, I'm just going to do this, and as soon as I lose my weight, I'm going back to my normal eating, which is one of my coaching calls that I did. They call it normal eating. Normal eating. I just want to go back to my normal eating where I can eat non-nutritious foods and overeat, yay, and have a party again. I just want to go back to that. And then it seems like if that's where you're thinking, when you start getting on this roll of everything going your way when it comes to your body and your mind, that little brain comes in and says, you know what? I think you deserve a break today. I think you need a little treat or a little reward. And this is where you have to be on to yourself because your brain's not saying, I want to sabotage you today. And you go, yeah, I think that's a really good idea. Let's just blow it. I think what happens is you have a little talk with yourself in the most primitive part of your brain, and it's saying, you've worked so hard, sweetheart. Why don't you just take a break? Why don't you just give yourself just a little reward for all of this? And I think in the end, you're calling that a sabotage. But really, in the moment, it's a reward you're calling it. Call it what it is. I'm rewarding myself for all my hard work. And that is a lie, right? It sounds so believable in your brain because you're working so hard. But what if you thought about the whole process differently to begin with? What if you thought about it like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to be doing for the rest of my life? Because all of my clients, really what they start saying is, I have never felt better. And I think to myself and I say to them, you've never felt better and you're losing weight. Like, you don't have to be losing weight and be tortured. I think many of you think if you're not being tortured while you're losing weight, there's a problem. But the truth is when you get this right, and that is everything that I teach when I work with my clients, everything I teach on this podcast is when you get it right, when you align your mind and your body and your spirit, and you start eating to fill your body with nutrition because that's what's important to you. I mean, you really believe it. And when you know that when you have eaten and you're full and you still want to eat, you know it's not your hunger, physical hunger. It's an emotion that needs to be attended to. And when you know that, and then when you see yourself eating these beautiful, nutritious foods, and you can see in your body and your mind that everything is starting to clear up, and you're starting to enjoy your life again because of the way that you're treating yourself, and that choosing those foods only leads to feeling better and better and better. If that's the way that you were thinking all along, then what kind of reward would you want? See the difference in thinking? If you're thinking, oh my God, this is so hard, this is torturous, when is it going to be over? And a lot of you have that going on in your brain. Then in a moment's notice, it's going to be party time. The brain's going to go, that's it? You did so good. Please let me give you a cake. Not a piece of cake, a whole cake. I mean, my God, you've just been suffering for the last 8 weeks. You see? You've got to be on top of that brain of yours, and you have to start thinking differently while you're going through this process. Right? And that's when I'm working with my clients. I am always gearing their mind towards what a blessing this is, what they're doing for themselves. It's a blessing. And if they begin to believe it, and that's what we work on in their mind, is why wouldn't you believe it? You know, we do a mind-body chart. And this mind-body chart is graphing everything that goes on in your mind and your body while you're really starting to eat healthy, when we're not eating flour and sugar anymore, and we really start taking care of our bodies, we start graphing everything. And what we see is we see a graph that signifies that everything in our mind and body is so much better. And I am telling you, 99% of my clients, I'm going to maybe leave out 1%, 99% of my clients feel and look so much better. That is the reward. There is no sabotage, because sabotage is just a way of your mind being sneaky about trying to reward you for something that is torturous and hard. And believe you me, that brain of yours is going to do anything it can to get you there. So you've got to watch that. And you have to start thinking differently as you start this process. Yes, it is hard because you do have to feel what you have never felt before. That is hard. But once you start doing it, and once you know that you can do it, it gets a lot easier. And that is the reward. The reward of feeling good in your own skin. The reward of liking and loving yourself. I mean, seriously, all of this stuff. That's the process that I take you through. That's the process of these podcasts. So that when your little brain starts looking around, the first thing that it stops thinking, I want a treat or reward. It feels treated and rewarded, right? And so you don't have to go and tell yourself you're sabotaging yourself, when in reality, you're just rewarding yourself. You know that the reward is in the process that you're doing. So I really want you to think about this for the following week. If you're doing well right now, and I get a lot of letters from a lot of you that are really doing this process, they're connecting to their bodies, they're asking themselves questions, they're feeling their feelings. I want you to really tell yourself, this is the reward, sweetheart, right? The cookies, the cupcakes, the brownies, or if it was Julie, my client, the Oreos, it's nothing compared to this. Because all of that stuff, once you're in tune to your body, makes you feel worse. Physically, and emotionally. That is no reward. No matter what that little brain of yours says, no matter what that screaming toddler has to say, it is not a reward. Use that smart part of your brain, your prefrontal cortex, and have a little chat. And that's what I want you to do this week. Catch it. You're not sabotaging yourself. You're rewarding yourself. Be honest about it. Oh, I'm rewarding myself because of all the work that I've done. And I think that it's hard, and I'm trying to give myself a break. And then you can analyze that and say, what kind of break would this actually be? Really, all I have to do is notice that the thinking that I've had is leading me to this. And if I thought differently, if I thought that this was the best thing that I've ever done for myself, that this is the best I've ever felt in my life, and I believed it, and I told myself this, then the reward would be unnecessary. And certainly a treat would be unnecessary when it comes to giving your body something it doesn't need or want. That is not what we call a treat or a reward. All right. You know what I want you to think about this week? Think hard about it. Ask me questions if you need it. But more than anything else, as you go through this process, there's one other thing that I must tell you to do, because you're going to start noticing some of the things that are going on up there, and you're not going to like it. And when you see something that you don't like, take yourself in your arms and go, sweetheart, it's okay. It's been this way for a long time, but thank you for telling me. And that's called being very, very kind to yourself. See you next week. Bye-bye.
I would like to invite you to correspond with Dr. Deborah. Go to iTunes, drdebbutler.com/iTunes. And you can review the show, and you can even give some helpful suggestions on what you would like to talk about in the future to accomplish your mindfulness and your journey into mindfulness. Thank you.